And first of all, a big shout out to all the veterans um, and everybody who served in the armed forces everywhere in the world. And just want to share some thoughts on Memorial Day. Hopefully, and I dream of a future for our generation and for the next generation of humans everywhere on the planet, that we don't have to go to war anymore, that we don't have to continue to worship war and idolize warfare as something honorable. Any veteran, and I'm letting you know this, the vast majority of the people in my family have served in the United States Armed Forces. I'm talking in the high 90%. We're mountain people from Puerto Rico, and if you know anything about mountain people in Puerto Rico, they're very resourceful, and this, we call them jibaros. Two of my family members served in the Vietnam War. They were Green Beret Special Forces. My uncle on my auntie's, my maternal aunt's husband served. It was a career military man. He served in Vietnam. He served in Korea. He also served undercover in operations with the Mujahideen, repelling the Russian invasion of Afghanistan. I have my great uncles on my grandmother's side, maternal grandmother's side, served in World War II. One of them, after serving in the European scenario, he went on to serve in the Central Intelligence Agency. I mean, the list is endless of people in my family who have served, men and women. But they will tell you, I've spoken to them, all the ones that have seen combat, real combat, and they will all tell you how horrifying war is, how disgusting it is to have to massacre human beings and have to see their friends, their buddies torn to pieces, and them having to bury them and carry that. I have family members who have told me and shared their experiences. They were in military intelligence. Some of them put strike packages together during the Vietnam War. They gathered intelligence, photographs, whatever, intelligence on the ground from the recon units to acquire targets. And then after they put the strike packages together, their generals they ordered the strikes, and then they had to send recon teams to assess the damage of the strike, see if their targets have been obliterated. And they've told me in my face that the horror in their hearts of when they see the pictures and the reports of what their work did to the other side. And they've asked themselves, what after they see the pictures, says, what have I done? You know, war is nothing to be glorified. It is the warfare. It is the lowest expression of Homo sapiens. It is the failure. War is the failure of societies. to the people that they govern and that they're supposed to look out for. Hopefully in the future we will not have to continue to send our best and brightest to fight each other because the powerful want something that the other powerful from another country or from within their own country would have. And perhaps if powerful people on earth can't resolve their differences, and if they must go to war, perhaps they can go to wars amongst themselves, the kings and the presidents and the senates and the congresses and their parliaments. If you guys want to go to war, perhaps you can go to war amongst yourselves and stop sending the poor and the uneducated and the disenfranchised to fight your war so you can remain rich, because that's always been the case. And having said that, the sacrifices that the greatest generation, the so-called greatest generation, some of them my family fought in Europe, fighting Nazis, and fought in the Pacific, fighting the Japanese Empire. Hopefully, we thank those people, and hopefully we never have to go through that again. And we must remain vigilant with the resurfacing of extremism under the guise of nationalism, which is what we're seeing in the United States with the Trump administration and the rest of his fascist cabinet and his cronies and the people who support him. Hopefully we can remain well educated and fight for the education for our children, and without that vigilance, we're at risk of it happening again. What happened 70 years ago with the rise of fascism, and honoring those. It's important that we honor the sacrifices of those people, the greatest generation that fought against oppression and tyranny in World War II, and not be baited into more wars by the demagogues who just want to sell weapons of destruction, and not support politicians who continue to use scaremongering tactics to enrich the military-industrial complex, the same complex that puts profits ahead of human lives and wants to perpetuate warfare for the profit of this, military corporations that right now are taking 57% of the United States discretionary budget and just pissing it away. And hopefully we as a society can and as a species can also start holding dear and holding precious the efforts and the sacrifices of the parents and those students who go out there and study to become teachers, because that is honorable too. We need to also start and not just glorifying those who go to war, but we need to start glorifying those who educate themselves in academia. We need to start glorifying the efforts of scientists instead of attacking science, instead of defunding science. We need to hold those people and those families who put their children through science school as sacred, and just as sacred as the people who send their children out to die, because we as a species need all of the people that go out there and put out an effort every day. The guy who studies auto mechanics, the plumber, the scientist who teaches in college, the teacher, the doctor, the engineer, all of those professions. We need to start teaching our children that those professions are valuable, that those professions are just as honorable as the profession of the professional soldier. We can't continue to put warfare on a pedestal, because it should never be on a pedestal. And having said that, the sacrifices of those people who have fought and died in wars that have been necessary wars like World War II should be thanked and remembered. And also the people who regardless of whether it was a just war or an unjust war, like the Vietnam War and the Korean War, those wars, we should have never sent our children there. We should have never sent our people there. We should have never bombed and killed 2 million Vietnamese, carpet bombing them. We should have never done that. Just like we should have never done, dropped atomic bombs over Japan. We should have never carpet bombed with incendiary bombs the entire population of Tokyo and other cities, and burnt them alive. We should have never done that. We should stop glorifying war. But having said that, even knowing the kids that we sent to Vietnam, even knowing that the brass was wrong, they kept their word, because they said, we are going to go to war if you send us, and we're trusting that you're going to send us to war only if it's absolutely necessary. And even though their leaders lied to them, the United States government lied to them when they told them that it was a necessary war, when it was not. They lied to them with the Tonkin Resolution. They lied to them with weapons of mass destruction when there weren't any. They lied to the entire world. They knew that they had given their word, and they kept their word even when their bosses did not keep their word. And that's something to be respected. But when we'll go further and say that in the future, perhaps the only recourse we're going to have to stop wars from happening and to stop the genocides of humans against each other, perhaps it's going to be that all the young people that are in military uniform refuse to go to war unless it's an absolute necessity to go to war. And they might have to go and be pariahs for a while and say, this is not a real war. We're not going to go fight this war. This is a for-profit war. We're not going to do it. Or perhaps when they get there and they see the reality, say, you know what, I'm not fighting any longer. This is not what I was told. And they're going to have to probably go ahead and put their weapons down and say, I'm not going to participate in the slaughter of innocent civilians and innocent humans for the profit of military corporations. So it might, in the future, those might be the real honorable things and real brave people, the ones who put their weapons down and talk to their buddies and say, you know what, this is not the right thing to do. We're going back home. Put me in the stockade, put me in prison, whatever you want to do, but I'm not going to kill those innocent people. Those people have not done anything to us, or to my country, or to my family, or to my friends. I'm not fighting this war for the profit of your military industrial complex. And having said all that, I salute all those veterans who have served honorably in the United States Armed Forces.